Nice to see all of you out here in outer space. Um, let's see, but we're kind of coming down to the end of this book. If you're just joining, it might be a little, you have to kind of project all those weeks before. But anyway, let's, Jasima, if you can show the email. How about Goher reading?
Sure, Jeff.
Yeah.
Dear folks of Baba, we are at the very end of Darwin's book, Effort and Grace, and I thought after going over the last two sections, it would be interesting to hear from each other the impact that his book has had on our inner life. As I said in a previous email, in my early years with Baba, I had only a very nebulous and unformed idea of what was meant by the inner life. I thought that if I just went on living my life with Baba, my inner life would somehow be taken care of automatically. In going to Darwin and Jean's meetings, I gathered from them that it is possible and even indispensable to be proactive in focusing on the many subtle nuances of the inner life. Like all of us, from time to time, I had had inner experiences, flashes of insight, sporadic intuitions, surges of enthusiasm, and uncommon inspiration, and above all, Baba's loving presence, a number of unusual, fleeting experiences, but I had only a very vague idea of how to integrate them. In asking Darwin many questions about the inner life over the years, he provided, in his usual unassuming way, a description of our interior landscape and a roadmap through this mystical terrain to the foothills leading up to the pristine mountain of the soul. He shared many things that were over my head at the time, especially his whole concept of creating inner space. And sometimes it wasn't until decades later that I would find myself in one of the interior places that he had described. These inner recognitions, like dropped breadcrumbs, would give me confidence that I was on the right track as I made my stumbling way forward, toward Baba's outstretched arms. What is paramount in Darwin's approach is the intimate companionship that can be thrillingly enjoyed with Baba along the way, a relationship that is thoroughly enjoyed by Baba himself. How has Darwin's effort and grace impacted your inner life with Baba? Have you adopted some of the practices that Darwin has discussed, such as the provisional ego, dressing our soul with Baba, creating more inner space by giving our emotional complexes to him? The deeper the feeling, the deeper the healing, as Darwin would say. Becoming less attached and more of a witness to the unfoldment of life, working to overcome unworthiness, striving to be more receptive to Baba's grace and presence throughout the day. So feel free to share what Darwin's book has awakened in you. In his love, Jeff.
Thank you. I thought maybe we should start with the last little chapters that we had, and then these last sections. What is it? Where did we leave off? Was it the diligent student or the next one? The inner path.
I think it was the inner path.
Yeah, I think so. Okay. Bob, since you spoke up, it's you.
Oh, okay. The inner path. By clawing our way through step by step, we get more light, more inspiration, and more insight as we go along. The veils fall away, and our inner vision becomes clearer and clearer. Our faith turns into conviction. Inner sight becomes illumination. We experience a glorious expansion of consciousness. We become aware of the fact that we are indeed spirit. This is the inner path. As we can see, this inner work is partly our job and partly the master's. His part is to remove our veils of illusion so that we become more and more aware of truth. And our part is to cooperate with his help and to cease creating more veils that bind us to illusion and keep us from seeing the truth of our own being. But in the last analysis, the wiping out of our inner impediments is an act of the Master's grace. Even our own efforts are precipitated by him. In fact, he is doing it all himself. We think that we are the doer, but he is really the doer. It is he himself who is awakening himself in us.
Anyone want to say something to that? I remember Eric said that, the saying, don't worry, I have come not to teach, but to awaken. He said it took many years to realize I've come not to teach, but to awaken myself in you. It took him a long time to realize that. Anyone have anything to say to this? Ah,
Diane, David.
California, here we come. Diane, oh, Diane,
You're on mute.
you're muted.
I feel safe in this group, and whomever is listening on the recording, that what you hear here stays here. But when you mentioned all the things that were takeaways in the email from
Mhm.
this, I felt, oh my God, it's like I didn't listen to any of it. I missed it. And then when this paragraph just came up, I realized I'm so used to the words of Baba, by Baba, or about Baba are so dense that reading it once just isn't enough. And I know we're going to have a conversation whether we're going to read this again, which I'm hoping for, because now I feel like I know what to look for. But sometimes to read it twice because it's so thick, and it gets, or leave it on the screen, even if people want to start talking, just to take it in, just my 2 cents.
Yeah. Yeah, I know, it's amazing. I mean, I've been through this book quite a few times, and it's almost like I never read it. But a lot of these things you incorporate unconsciously in your life, which is wonderful. But I don't know, you think I would have this all memorized? In fact, there were a number of us that asked the questions that brought out all of these explanations from Darwin. Anyone else to say?
Bob.
Yes, the sentence about our part is to cooperate with his help and to cease creating more veils. And for me, that kind of ties right into a couple of the things that you mentioned. That I'm just going to sort of segue into the question you asked about what our takeaways from this book, because the idea, this ties right for me into the idea of creating space, which partly is not getting in the way, but cooperating with Baba. And one of the methods that Darwin mentions in trying to do that is in trying to not to become inactive, but to meet every day and every situation with an openness that does not involve trying to force things one way or another from my own, fears or desires or any of that. And I find that reading about that and thinking about it has really helped me to do it a little bit more, a little bit more. It becomes slightly more possible. And I'm so thankful for that. So, okay.
Yeah, beautifully said. Yeah. I mean, another way of describing it that Darwin would describe it, life starts to just unfold. And you feel that love is motivating what happens in the situations. And not in a hardcore way, trying to get things to go this way or that. But it turns out to be quite beautiful without,
I've been
without,
thinking it's like layers, like the book is layers, just like life is layers, you know, and the more you quiet your mind and you do these things like turning things over to God and you surrender that, you let him in more, you know, because he's there, but we don't let him in because we're so busy that we don't listen to that intuition. So I think the book is like a great book. And just like today, I was out looking at the lake and the sparkling light hitting the, and I said, God, only God could do that. You can't even try to paint that. It's like life is a gift, and just trying to take things that whatever is happening is because Baba has made it happen for us to learn whatever we need to learn. And all of us together, I keep saying that, is like truly a gift, because we're all, I believe, in my understanding, or what I take out of it, is that we're all one soul and that we're all God, and that we reflect off one another, and that helps us to bring up stuff that we forgot about. Because a lot of times I'm listening and I'll say, oh, wow, that's me. You know, I remember that. And I remember feeling really like creepy when I was in school, and about peer groups. And now I'm at the point in my life where I surrendered to God, and it made it really easy. Just take it, you know, and every day getting up and trusting, doing those things that Darwin said, entrusting the day to him, and before you go to bed, and then hanging on to his diamond, and then when you get crazy, start taking his name, and all those things are like your toolbox. Anyway, I'm done. Thanks.
yeah, thank you. Marcia, anyone else have anything to say? We could go on to the next one. We have just two, as one little section too. Let's see. How about Sabine? At 4 a.m. in Germany.
Yeah, that's good. I'm here. The divine treasure. The poet and perfect master Rumi said, on the spiritual path, effort is required, but grace is 1,000 times greater than effort. When the sun rises, the candle of self-effort can be blown out. To love Meher Baba intensely is our effort, but essentially his gift. It involves full acceptance of the reality of his divine but personal love for us, and this includes his divine grace. Meher Baba's divine love for us is intimately personal and continuous. It is divinely precious and unendingly sustaining. His love includes and reveals the treasure of divine grace, which is his gift to us. Baba's divine love grace is infinite. It cannot be measured. His love grace is not something that is given only briefly. It is eternal. His love grace easily supersedes the otherwise rigid laws of causation that ordinarily determine the state of our consciousness. Through the continuous and never diminished gift of his love grace, we are liberated from Maya's binding and made aware of our own completeness. To be enabled through beloved Baba's loving grace to recognize our own completeness, even now, is to be liberated instantaneously from addiction to any sense of lack, need, or want. In completeness, nothing can be added. It is the nature of our soul to be complete. The attributes of realizing this are a sense of blissful release and abiding fulfillment in the sweet reality of Meher Baba's freely and continuously given divine love grace.
Wonderful. One thing, one thing that I feel that Baba often doesn't get credit for in us, I would say, in me, is the enthusiasm to just come the next day and try to live, you know, a loving day. You know, and being working at it day after day after day, 40, 50 years, still he is providing that enthusiasm behind it, the inspiration, even though we might even kind of claim it as our own. But anyone have, oh, we got Ron there.
Ron.
Yeah, I was thinking about this thing that Erich once said on one of the videos that he did with Gary Kleiner, and he was talking about, instead of the idea of seeking God, he said he thought it was better, or maybe Baba had told him he thought it was better, to be sought by God. Be the one who is sought. And I'm thinking that there's it may be most important, if we're going to be sought by God, is to be prepared, ready. Baba often used these words too. Be ready, to receive what he's come to do and give and take. So it's just another way of thinking about it. It's just maybe it seems like it might be even more. It might be easier if we can figure out how we can be inviting to Baba and have him, because he's looking around for somebody who's ready to receive his love and grace, right? He's on the lookout. And so if you're ready for it, if you are anxious and longing to have it, I think he's going to find you.
Yeah. And but that's Baba's saying, don't be so much the seeker as the sought. That's kind of enigmatic. What does that mean? And the way I kind of see it is like, if a mother is at a kitchen sink and outside she has two kids that are playing in a sandbox, and one of them is taking the sand and pouring it over his head and kind of catching her attention. The other one is absorbed in making this castle, absorbed in creating something. So which one does the mother feel closest to? Which one attracts the mother's attention most at the deeper level? What would you say? Oh, yeah, Goer.
Child that's throwing the sand on his head.
No, I think it's the other way around.
Okay.
One that's absorbed in doing something is it's kind of very self-sufficient in that world, and the other one is kind of playing to the mother, and the other one. But that's just my metaphor for being the sought rather than seeker. But anyone else have something to? I don't know if that rings a bell. Oh.
Vivian.
Hi, thank you very much for sharing. I just have a brief comment about, in this piece that was just read, about effort, and then effort's required, but grace is 1,000 times greater. And it just came like an aha moment that's the name of the book, Effort and Grace. You'd think I hadn't heard of it before, but all of a sudden it kind of sunk in deeper, because in this incarnation of mine, the setup for me for my awakening was being born into a very hardworking family. We had to make a lot of effort, and I guess I had grace because I'm still here, and Baba was with me all the time, but I didn't know it. So now in what Baba said, the psychological is spiritual too. That's in the discourses. So I'm very grateful for the psychological work to uncover what my beliefs are. I came into this life with them, but that family situation, parents set it in stone. So I had to do all the work to surrender and to open to grace. So this has been a lifetime of work for me to surrender. And so I just thought, oh my gosh, even though I've known this conceptually, I felt tonight in this discussion is that it's sort of more of an aha, not a new thought, not a new concept, but that it was so in my face, the effort I've had to make in this life, in every aspect of my human life. And then I have the moments of grace, and they just, so of course I've had those, and I still do. But right at this moment tonight in discussing this, I feel kind of an aha that maybe this is the final letting go of all that effort I've made so much. Because even when I'm doing the provisional ego or saying Baba's name, there's a little inkling back here in my limited human Marion that is trying to do my best. So that Baba has that still there and into the final stages of letting go of that. So tonight, I really appreciate it because I felt it's kind of an aha. Oh my gosh, my effort is falling away and I'm getting it programmed and reinforced by all of you sharing in the name of the book, Effort and Grace, which so anyway, I'll end with that. It's not all clear, but I'm
Yeah.
having some moments right now.
Yeah. Oh, good. Thank you, Marion.
Rich.
Well, I personally think that I have such a trainload of karma to work through that this is like Jeff has said, it's a very slow process, and it's a many lifetime deal. But one of the things about me that I've known, and I don't like it, but I know it's very true, is that I've always wanted to escape. I wanted to escape when I was young, the responsibilities of life and taking care of myself and learning how to work in the world, deal with other people. And I didn't do very well. And I had other things going, but escaping. And my relationship with Baba really has been based probably more in, not from him, but from me in escaping. I've always wanted to escape. So Baba is my preferred escape route. And this whole meeting has really helped me a lot in terms of it's forced me to continue to remember that inner space, as Darwin calls it. But what I've begun to see is there is no escape. And if there is, it really is just Baba. There's no way to make my ego into something more that will solve all my historic sanskaric dilemmas and knots and whatever. And I'm at a point in my life and age where, of course, there's a very clear limit on all that sort of fantasy or effort or acting and drama. But this inner awareness and the inner space that Darwin's talking about, well, there's been a few things that have happened even since we begun this effort and grace thing. And I don't want to go into all the details because it's more of a personal awakening. But one of the things that's become clear to me in talking to other people, some friends and whatnot, is that we're all struggling with this ego thing. And ego. And I mean, I watch TV because I don't have a job anymore. I watch a little too much of this and that, but it's also dramatically, emphatically, radically hope for the ego. We've got to hope that the ego makes it. And we are each on an individual path. It's not a group journey to Baba. We can share because Baba has allowed us. I think the Catholics, I never could figure it out, but I think the Catholics call it Holy Spirit, but I could never figure that out myself. But I think that because it's the one in the many, we are all tied to Baba. So therefore we can relate to each other at a very significantly deep level. And so I've been reading in different books, and I've been trying to finish Sheila's book about living with Baba and Baba. And he's towards the end of his life. So she makes him so human. It's like living with grandpa, you know, but he's the avatar. And it's hard sometimes reading that book to remember, although she points it out, that this is the avatar. But her mind evidently is so clear that she really had an understanding that she was just an aspirant, regardless of her position. And Baba was truly the avatar. And I think that's what this book is really about, to really remember that regardless of our position, if we can focus on, I don't want to call it the escape route. Maybe someone here has a good word for it. I just call it avatar consciousness, but it's the only way out for me to eliminate any sanskaras. Is you can only do it through Baba. Baba knows exactly what each of us needs. And I don't know, enough said, I guess. But hey, thank you for all. It's been such a pleasure being a part of all this. That's probably been the biggest reward of this whole thing. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Rich. Yeah. Very well said.
Bob?
Yes, thank you. One more note on this idea or experience of inner space. Diane made me think about it when her comments. Reading a book like this, it's not like reading a novel where, you know, I mean, it's a whole different deal. It's because this book, like so many of books of Baba's direct words and also stories of his mandali, I often hit a phrase that somehow goes completely beyond what the words are trying to explain. It's like what happens with a particularly good poem. The words are there and they do their job by surmounting the words and going straight to the heart somehow, opening the heart. And that's what so much of this book, just like many other books of Baba's and his lovers do. It's just, you know, I'll run into a phrase or a sentence or a paragraph, and I have to just stop for a moment or a minute or 5 minutes or 10 minutes and just try to absorb it, let it be what it is inside of me. It's quite a wonderful book in that way. So if that makes any sense at all.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. Yeah, let's go to this last little section. It's on the.
Before we do that, can
Oh, yeah.
you the one part about the difference between effort and grace, can that sentence be reread again?
Yeah, on that last thing. Yeah. How about it's right there on the divine treasure, I think. I'll go ahead and read it. The poet and perfect master Rumi said, on the spiritual path, effort is required, but grace is 1,000 times greater than effort. When the sun rises, the candle of self-effort can be blown out. To love Baba, Meher Baba intensely is our effort, but essentially his gift. It involves full acceptance of the reality of his divine but personal love for us, and this includes his divine grace.
This like blows my mind.
There was a line, I'll try to reconstruct it. It was in Mandalay Hall. I will see if I can find it. It's a beautiful, when I set out, I set out to know God, to feel him, to love him, and to, well, I'll see if I can find it. It's a beautiful line and it captures this very well. Anyone want to read that last section? Oh yeah, I should choose somebody. How about Anthony?
Yeah, sure thing. Here we go. The supremacy of love. Meher Baba used to say to us, "You belong to me." We all belong to him. He is our friend no matter what, and he is offering us the kingdom of heaven on a silver platter. Gold and silver are mere grains of sand compared to what he wants to share with us. So look for beloved Baba in the heart and focus on him instead of on desires and all the other lesser things. The love of God can supersede the flow of desires and change our focus to the flow of love in the heart. This puts us in a different realm, a realm of transcendent consciousness. The ego begins to diminish, the eyes of the heart open, and the heart becomes more and more pure. It is like the beginning of dawn. It is our spiritual awakening. Jai Baba.
Anything to say to that? Let's see. I was trying to find this quote, but I'm not going to find it, I don't think. Let's see here. Then, now, does anybody want to share their experience? Well, let's share their experience of what this book has done for them, the impact of it.
Ron,
That's not what I wanted to share right now.
Oh, go ahead. Go.
I want to share this thing that I brought up last Sunday, which was one of your poems, which you couldn't find, but I just happened to find it today. And I want to read it because it's really a good one. And maybe it fits in with our theme too. So the name of it is Through a Glass Darkly. It's on page 1, by the way, Jeff, in case you want to remember.
Oh, really? Oh.
Yes, the second poem on the page. Have you ever watched someone through your window and even waved to them, but because of the reflection, they couldn't see you? That's how the beloved is with us, following our every mood and feeling, full of delight at our happiness and hurt when we feel bad about ourselves. And yet, we often don't know he's there. Why? Because we keep seeing our own reflection in front of us. But do this. Step very close to the window and look in, and you'll be eternally surprised by the beloved's warm, adoring face. Well put.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to imagine that he is watching he's watching everybody simultaneously. It's just, it's not like he goes to, out to Colorado every couple of months and checks on the Baba lovers there. Right there, every moment. And there were many ample proofs that Baba gave here and there of that. There was one woman that used to come here, Billy Eaton, and she lived in New York, and she had like a 4 or 5 floor walk up. And at the end of each day from work, her dog would just come down the down the hallway, and it would just tilt its head in a very kind of endearing way and greet her each day. And so then, and this was kind of a special thing. And so in 1956, she had an appointment with Baba there in New York, and she's like kind of a little bit anxious. I mean, Baba's, you can go meet God in the other room, and she was like a little bit apprehensive. And so then her name is called. Oh, she felt that shock and everything. But when she went in, Baba had his head just like her dog, cocked in the same endearing way. And she knew that Baba knew her perfectly. That's, he at any time he can reveal something like that. Okay. Martha.
Yes. Well, I went through your letter, your email, and I was very surprised. All the things that have changed in me since we started in the beginning of the pandemic together. I had heard about provisional ego, but I never really worked on it. I never consciously made a decision to do it, and now I have. The same thing about dressing your soul with Baba during the day, morning, all that. Then I started to do it. And I also consciously, it seems, began to become a more constant witness instead of being drug into the emotional chaos of ups and downs, which I was very happy about. Oh yeah, the thing I've never been one to want to work on stuff like this. I mean, it was all new to me when Jeff started talking about doing all this work. And it is kind of a lot of work. And I'm basically, I think, lazy. I just let Baba take care of it. But I did, I was surprised, kind of happily surprised, that I could acknowledge sanskaras in my patterns and make a choice to be different. And that was very empowering. And that was it made me really happy because I just felt I wasn't just drug here and drug there and into this drama and that drama. So I just feel that I'm going to have to write Jeff a very big check because I have learned so much about everything, about Baba, about myself, and I really feel that it was magnified by all of you sharing your stories and sharing your struggles and your joys and teaching me. And I just can't believe how valuable this has been as a family. But I also want to acknowledge that, Jeff, your input and your memory of all these stories and weaving it all into this reading in all of our lives, it's really invaluable what Baba has given all of us through you and all of us together. Yeah, it's just a beautiful thing. So I have, I'm very thrilled and humbled. And I really thank all of you because I feel like I just love you all. And I feel I know aspects of everybody, kind of, So thank you.
Beautifully said. Beautifully said. Wow. That I'm
Beautifully
sure
done.
everybody here. No,
That's why I'm saying encore, encore.
Yeah, that's beautiful. You can make the check out to the center, maybe.
Okay, Jeff.
But really, it's like I say, Darwin really got me being proactive about the inner life, which I just thought it would just take care of itself automatically. And that the valuable thing, and also making that inner space so that I could see my reactions on the one side and my loving responses, my better angels on the other side. and I could actually choose, you know, how I wanted to respond to a situation instead of the normal just reacting. So I got some space there. I could choose something a little more loving instead of just snapping back in unison with you know. But anyone else? That was beautifully said. Oh,
Maybe.
Marion, it's you.
Okay. Oh, thanks. I'll just make another quick comment because it's out of gratitude and I just could not hold it in any longer because as we read this last part under the supremacy of love, where Mayor Baba used to say to us, "You belong to me." I had not read that. I guess maybe I've read, but I don't ever remember that. But what I've been experiencing sometimes, what Baba said, the unconscious has to be brought to consciousness. And my unconsciousness has a lot of bullet because I was the original good girl trying to fit in everywhere. And I didn't fit in anywhere, but I tried my best as a child in this life to fit in. So it was agony because I didn't fit in. And so what I've learned is, so I have that unconscious. When Marion comes up, I call her belligerent Marion. And morose Marion, and she's kind of very fussy and complaining. And so, but I give Baba everything. So it brings me a little closer to God to give Baba what's in my unconscious and this belligerent self. And so I guess it must have been, it's this year because it wasn't a whole year ago. On the streets of New York City, I'm walking and I just fussed at Baba about doing the provisional ego because I said, I don't want to do it anymore. I want to be with my old familiar human life, you know, my identification as little Marion for a while. But I gave it to Baba and I said, because I just don't feel I belong anywhere. I don't belong in this earth. This isn't my home. I just complained a lot. And then I stopped and got quiet. And this is what Baba said, and it happened more than once. Very sweet, inside, quiet. You belong to me. And I had not read this in here yet, and I'm so grateful to read it. And thank you all for being there, Marta, for what you expressed. I too feel so grateful because when I go through my fussy period, that's what I usually get is you belong to me. And then I know I'm safe and okay. So thank you for this reading and for doing this tonight.
Beautiful. Yeah. Oh.
Ruth? Ruth?
That's you, Ruthie. Yeah.
Hey, Jay Baba. Everybody's saying what I could say, so I'm not going to do that. But what's been happening for me lately is Baba wrote a poem for, I don't know if it was Dawn Stevens, I can't remember. But it was really written for me, and it's called Just You and Me, so I'll read it kind of quickly. In the moonlight, just you and me, when everything is bright, just you and me, just you and me, just you and me, just you and me, just you and me. In darkness and in light, just you and me. In wrong or in right, just you and me. Just you and me, just you and me, just you and me, just you and me. When devil is in flight, just you and me. When God is in sight, just you and me. Just you and me, just you and me. When truth is all might, just you and me. And when difficulties are all slight, just you and me. In corners all tight, just you and me. When sharing God's delight, just you and me. Just you and me, just you and me. So I walk around and that's kind of the way I'm working the provisional ego right now is, you know, I'm walking into the room, just you and me. I'm picking up the comb, just you and me. I'm brushing my teeth, just you and me. It's the way that the Baba is kind of playing through me right now. It's just that reminder. And I think for each and every one of us, we understand what Baba was doing when he wrote this birthday poem for this one of the men Mandali, was just reminding him that there is just Baba. just Baba and me. You all have Baba, but I know it's just for me. So anyway, Duncan, thank you.
Yeah, Duncan.
Somebody that's what it was written for.
Oh.
So it's that beautiful personal Baba that, I'll say it this way. I had my best friend passed away. I've known her 70 years. The week before she died, I didn't realize she was going, it was sudden death. Baba was leaning into me. I mean, that's the only way I can say it. It was like he was beside me at my shoulder, and he was leaning his head onto my shoulder to like comfort me, for me to lean into him. He was comforting me for some reason. I could just feel him with his arm around me like an old friend, and his head on my shoulder like, you'll be all right, you'll be all right. And that went on for a week, and then my friend died. And now it hasn't happened since then, but you know, he gave me that week of comfort and solace. And right now it's just Baba and me. Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks for doing this, Jeff, and everyone that's here.
Yeah, happy. You know, one of the things that I found most, I appreciate most from the Mandali, they were kind of like our favorite aunts and uncles. They gave us a feeling of belonging. And when you belong, you can endure almost anything. And when you don't really feel you belong, life is very difficult. But they get and they gave a feeling of belonging, and it's possible to feel you belong in this world. Because of Baba, you belong in this world. You know, so nothing is outside of that belonging. That's helped me immensely. Yeah. There's a hand down there, Jeff.
Jeff Asper.
Jai Baba, everyone. Jai Baba, Jeff. Jai Baba, Baba. What you just said, Jeff, is what I have been feeling more and more these last several months, especially, that I belong to Baba. It's really wonderful to feel more and more that I belong to Baba. I also belong to everybody here, and you, Jeff. What you have offered is such a beautiful spiritual chalice of Baba's love through Darwin's book. Really. Those meetings were always just sitting at Baba's feet, and you turned the pages. As we all turned the pages with you.
No.
The words that Darwin wrote, we could all feel deeply, which was Darwin's words through Baba and Baba's love through Darwin's words. I could feel that. I feel it here, especially tonight. And I feel it in everybody who spoke. Everybody. Just. We do have a much more individual intimacy with Baba and a collective intimacy with Baba and with one another. And you were our spiritual chalice. Wonderful, wonderful.
Don't get too don't wax too whatever. Yeah, I know.
I also noticed the last few months, Baba is speaking through my voice with a tone, not with wisdom, with a tone in situations that I'm surprised. There are various situations that we all can react into And I've noticed that my voice is so unusually more with just a compassionate, conscious response. And I definitely think that Baba is allowing me to speak in a very compassionate tone, more than I ever thought I could.
Beautiful.
I wake up in the morning thanks to effort and grace and all of us. And I say immediately, good morning, Baba. I love you, Baba. Baba, I love you, which I learned here. And then I dedicate, and I say, I dedicate my words to you, Baba, my thoughts to you, and my actions to you. I learned a lot of this through all of it. I mean, I learned this through effort and grace in a way that has become a really nice part of my morning, and I do it in the evening before I go to sleep. And there are things I want to say that I don't have the words to say, beyond grateful, beyond just, I mean, we really are very fortunate that Baba gave Darwin that book, and Darwin gave you those beautiful talks and times together in Schenectady, and Baba met you in the middle of nowhere when you asked him to prove to you that he was Baba. And you know, as Arthur and Ruth and everybody said, your stories, we love them, we appreciate them. They paint us with a spiritual, invisible brush of Baba's grace. And I thank everybody, and I thank Baba. Really, I'm looking for the words that are really much more than I said. I can't find them, but as people have said, the heart has been touched very deeply. Very deeply. Jai Baba.
Jai Baba, yeah. Yeah. You know, there was something that, a story that Erich told, kind of typifies a way of describing why God comes to us. And it is something that Erich shared. There was a king named Akbar, and he had a you know, he's Muslim, and his trusted servant was a guy named Birbal, and Akbar was noted for discussions, you know, that about different spiritual matters and everything. He wasn't like orthodox; he was open. So there would be his trusted servant. They would get into, you know, these big discussions and everything, and Birbal would find a way to bring home a truth to him. And you know, usually the Muslims kind of felt that, you know, this idea that God came as that Jesus was the Son of God was just kind of laughable, absurd to them, and everything. And so, but anyway, so this is what Birbal kind of designed. We need to go on a little vacation. We'll get in the boat. Let's get the boat. And got the boat, and they're heading down to Ganges. And Akbar has all of his retinue, all of his, you know, everything. And his prince, his favored son is, you know, that he adores, is also on the boat. And they're traveling down the river. And at a certain point, they hear a splash. And someone yells out, the prince has fallen in the water. The prince has fallen in the water. Akbar hears that. He runs over, ready to dive in after his son. And Birbal says, you know, at the last moment, he stops him and he says, that's just an effigy. That's just a dummy that we threw in. Because I'm proving why when you could have asked anybody to represent, you know, anybody would have dived in after your son. Why are you diving in your son? You're the, you know, you're the leader. And, you know, he said that's my favorite son. I wanted to do it myself. And then so Birbal says, that's what God does. When he comes down, he loves his creation and everyone in it. And he comes in, he dives into this creation himself. He doesn't leave it to any representative. So that was a way of describing how Baba comes into creation to look after us, you know. Okay.
Rich.
I wanted to add one more footnote to this whole experience, and that's it. I'm a very selfish person. So I think, but I want Baba, I want experience with Baba. I want to be, but in this Zoom, when I look out at each one of your faces with your names, it's like it makes me think, and it's a slow process, but I think, yeah, but Marta is with Baba, and Jeff, of course, we know he's with Radha and the German people, that German couple, and it's like all of a sudden it's like, how does that work? You know, it's like, how does Ron has it, you know? Anyway, you know what I'm saying, but it makes me think more realistically and honestly of how can Baba be our real true self for each of us? Jeff?
Yeah, I know. It's the unfathomable Baba. How can he be here, right here in the gateway, and then with all of you people individually? But that's why, that's the difference between us and God. You know, I think of it, I mean, I've said before, it's like one of these cutaway doll houses, and we're all in these little rooms, you know, arranging the furniture and all of that, waiting for someone to come in the front door. And we don't realize that there's no wall behind us. That's Baba looking intimately into each of our lives. And he's not into deserving, undeserving, worthy, unworthy. Those are human concoctions. We're a mixture of love and selfishness, and selfishness is going to come up and the love is going to come up. Yeah. Hey, so anyone else have something to share? You know, it's funny, I was like really sick. You know, I didn't think I would even be able to make it here, and I actually feel pretty good. I mean, I was like, I slept all day and everything, and so, oh, good.
Janet.
Yes. Oops. Hi. I just want to say I feel very akin to many of the things that everyone have already expressed. And I really like that poem, you know, My Baba. But what I sense about this group, I mean, you know, a lot. It's been very impactful for me, very impactful in many, many ways. But I feel like I'm kind of like an automobile that drives around, and I definitely do the giving myself to Baba, you know, I mean the four times a day, dressing my soul and asking Baba to come with me when I'm doing things and all of that. But and you know, getting more of a handle perhaps on this creating space inside for Baba by dropping some of the frozen places in my consciousness, thawing a little bit, and that helps. But I mean, this group and the conversation and what's, you know, between reading the book and things that Jeff can relate to us and what others in the group relate, it's like I go and fill up my tank on Sunday. And it really helps me to stay on top of it through the week. And so that becomes not just somehow this group for me, this reading of Effort and Grace and the group being together, it it reinforces my connection with Baba just by being with the group and listening to other people's connection to Baba and their experiences. And I find that extremely valuable, because otherwise sometimes, you know, even though I might read, and I can read Effort and Grace by myself, and I mean, and I do, it's not only that I can, I do, but the impact is much greater for me doing it with this group. And I noticed that in talking to other people who are even Baba people in this community that I see on occasion, you know, maybe every month or so like that, that they're saying things to me that are like a great revelation to them. And I'm thinking, and it is a wonderful revelation, but it's like, oh my gosh, this Effort and Grace has been feeding me that food of that very same revelation week after week. And I didn't even realize how much, what the impact of it was. So again, I'm also just giving heartfelt, Baba felt, deep gratitude for being together, for everyone, for Jeff, for Darwin, and for our being touched by Meher Baba.
Beautiful. You know, the interesting thing you'll find is when you meet some of these people that you haven't met before in person, they're going to be completely familiar to you. I never found one person on these little rectangles different from the person I was relating to all this time, especially when I went to India. They were like, you know, a night is there, various ones, Sonober. They were all very familiar to me. So so we are actually meeting in a deeper way. It's not like there's any difference. You know, Baba found a way to get us from all parts of the world together under one roof, so to speak, you know. Anything else to say? I'm trying to think of what to do now that we've come to the end of the book. I mean, we have had these topics, and like I say, I got to figure out. Or one thing that I would like, it would be nice to hear if anybody wanted to share their story of coming to Baba. I mean, I find it very, very touching how Baba, you know, has reeled us in the very particular ways. So if any of you are inclined in that way, well, we'll meet again, but then I might ask, and if there's somebody who wants to share their story. I mean, of course, we have Goer, who also met Baba, and her father, who has a very, very interesting story of how Baba found him. You know, but there are a great many lovely stories how Baba entered our life, and how we I mean, the Mandalay really like to hear our stories in Mandalay Hall. Why? Because not just our story, but how the divine, how Baba entered into our narrative. That's what makes it worthwhile, that they love so much. Anything else here? I wonder if we can get Ronnie, have you got another one of those songs from Josephine Ross? Josephine Ross was just around 19, and her mother, they went to see Baba in Harmon-on-Hudson in 1931. And she wrote a number of poems that she'd never written poetry before, but just having Baba right there, these songs just kind of came streaming through her, these poems. And Ronnie has put some of these things to music.
You're muted.
But
You're
Ron,
muted, Ron.
Ron, you're on mute.
he-
I turned on the original sound and I didn't turn on sound.
oh, yeah.
Okay.
Any sound. Okay. So I have this other song that I thought of when we first started reading. I think it was called The Great Treasure, that, in Darwin's book. And it made me think of this song. Now this is something I got from reading Francis Brabazon's The Silent Word, which was a biography of Baba in the early days. And I wrote it. I composed a song around this anecdote that's in the book, and it's been one of my favorite songs to sing. I'd
Yeah.
like to sing it now. So it's about Baba's treasure that he has for us.
Wow.
You urge us on, define the goal, steady our wavering aims. You guide us to the treasured soul, endure our silly games. When will we hear your whispering voice, longing to reveal the way, and have the courage to make the choice to follow you, inspired when you say, he who has a lion's heart will get the lion's share. Your love's the price, but there is no price for treasure beyond compare. But it's open now for you to loot, for you to take if you dare. And he who has a lion's heart will get the lion's share. You gather us, a motley crew, by stealing first each heart. We fight, we curse, we drink your brew, as pirates play the part. We'll set the sail, and if hearts pale in the face of a stormy sea, encourage us, and will not fail to follow you. Your lions of love are we. He who has a lion's heart will get the lion's share. Your love's the price, but there is no price for treasure beyond compare.
Bonnie, beautiful.
Radha.
Who wrote that song, please? I'm sorry.
Bonnie, someone asked who wrote that song.
Oh, I wrote that song. Well, I wrote I wrote the tune and the verses, but I took the chorus idea from that book that I was mentioning, The Silent Word by Francis Brabazon.
Yeah.
There's a, and I don't know where he got the the little anecdote, but most of the anecdote is in the chorus part of the song. And when I read it, I said, "Well, there's a song there."
Yeah.
So I had to write a couple of verses to go with it.
Yeah, so Radha,
You were talking about Josephine Ross and her poems that she'd written. When I heard Jeff Myers' concert, I was really touched by his singing "Let There Be Peace." And so I learned it. I wrote down the words, and I'd love to sing that now.
oh, go for it. Yeah.
Let there be peace within the heart and quiet in the mind, that God's great wisdom may descend, enlightening mankind. We cannot hear the still small voice that ever seeks to guide us. We cannot sense the shining one, whoever stands beside us, because we are so occupied with outer daily strife and have no leisure to enjoy God's proffered gift of life. The quiet thought, the loving heart, the silence of repose, the healing fragrance of a kindly word, the fragrance of the rose, the sky at dawn, the stars at night. These are but gentle things, yet knowing them, we are aware of passing angels' wings. So let there be peace within the heart and quiet in the mind, that God himself may now descend to heal and bless mankind. Oh, let there be peace within the heart and quiet in the mind, that God's great wisdom may descend, enlightening mankind.
Beautiful.
Jai Baba.
Thank you.
And may all of you beautiful souls feel Baba's peace more and more and still yet more.
Thank you. So let's have a few moments of silence, or should we go, or do you have a little quote before we? No, we'll have a few moments of silence.
So Baba says, Whatever is accomplished in all that you do or do not do is always my will. Jai Baba.
Baba. Jai Baba.
Jai Baba.
Thank you for coming out on this winter day. It's been around in the 20s, lower 20s here in Myrtle Beach.
Wow.
Wow.
That's chilly there.
Up north.
Take care of yourself, Jeff.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
You guys,
Yeah,
and
feel better.
I'll ponder what to do here. I'll send an email out and we'll find out what is happening. And Deborah from Narragansett. Yeah. And Nicole.
Wait, she's muted. What are you saying, Deborah?
I've been watching all your reruns for the last 3 months, so.
Oh my God.
Oh, good.
You have your own, like a little cult following, so God bless you and thank you.
We're all reruns.
We're all reruns. I'll second that.
Good one.
We'll ask Darwin, for his input, what we should do. Should we start all over again from the beginning?
I think we need to let it lie fallow for a while. I mean, we've done it like
Yeah.
4 times in a
maybe
row, is
so.
it? Something.
Maybe so, yeah. For a while.
I don't really think he's quite ready yet. Yeah, not yet. Still not ready.
Yeah. So we'll see.
Okay.
We got to get Nasreen to kind of put an end to this.
Okay, Jeff. Avatar Meher Baba Ki Jai. Avatar Meher Baba Ki Jai. Avatar Meher Baba Ki Jai.
Wow.
Jai
Jai
Baba.
Baba.
Jeff.
Thank
Thank
you
you,
all.
Jeff.
Thank
Much
you.
love to everyone.
Coming
Yeah.
out stories next week.
What's that?
Coming out stories next week.
Yeah,
I vote for that. I think that's great.
yeah, I would, because
Yeah.
you know, I worked side by side with Jane Brown for years, for many years, and I never heard her story. So nice to hear.
I would love to hear stories, especially
Yeah.
since I came into the group a little later, even though
Yeah.
I read the book a couple of times.
Yeah.
I feel like
I
I'm
did-
just beginning to know people.
I didn't hear Nan's story until she was in the Rocky Mountain Sahavas, and I was blown away completely. Her story.
No, it's great. I loved it. I never get tired of it. Yeah.
Is it codependent to tell someone else's story?
Until someone else's, but could be a
Well, then
little.
all the Mandali are codependent.
So anyway, I will see you folks. We'll figure out. I'll call. I don't know. Are you at all up for sharing your story next week?
Sure, Jeff. Why not? Yes.
And we'll let you tell your father's story too.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
that's more if it is my father's story than my story. Yeah.
He was a real seeker.
Yes.
Well, we got lots of stories coming up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, thank you all for being
Hey,
here.
Bob, everybody.
Thank
Jai
you,
Baba,
Jeff.
Jeff.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you, everyone. Good night.
Avatar Meher Baba Ki Jai.
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Baba.
Thank you.
Jai Baba.
Baba.
Yeah. Naita, I see.
Thank you.
There.
Thank you.
Hi, Jeff.
Good night, Germany. Good night, Germany. Good morning, Germany. Good morning.
Yeah, it's good morning, but we're going to bed again. so.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody. Night.
Thank you.
Bye,
Good
everybody. Good night.
Oh.
Say Baba.
Yeah,
Get well, Jeff. Get well.
Yeah.